Hey, here's the show rate checklist that I've used to take 20,000 of my own sales calls and now also 100,000 plus sales calls that have been booked inbound into a calendar for our sales teams over the years. Hey, my name's Taylor. I'm basically gonna go over a checklist. So if you're a business owner, salesperson, and you wanna have better show rates, because obviously it's gonna help you make more sales because you have more opportunities, more offers to make, then this video is for you. This is literally stuff that I have used. I did sales for 12 years, selling all sorts of different offers, predominantly education, coaching, like online services. So this was a checklist I used for myself. I did about 20,000 sales calls over that time. Also now the checklist that we use for multiple sales teams that we have managed or that we have in-house with our companies that we own. Let's get to the checklist. What I like to think about with the show rate, because you've got different throughputs in your sales system that's gonna enable you to maximize cash or throughput of money at point of sale. Obviously, you've got the cash collected itself at point of sale. That's the first. Then you've got the number of sales you make, which is your conversion. But then you've got the number of opportunities or offers you can make, which is contingent on your show rate. And in that system, you've got your percentage of show up rate, you've got your percentage of conversion rate, and then you've got your average order value. And what you're trying to manipulate with those three numbers is what's gonna maximize the throughput of absolute money, like just the most amount of money through the system. And you have to think about this. If your show rate is, let's say 30% and you go to 40%, so that's a 10% increase in show rate. And I know 30% is not good, but you're gonna hear what mistake I made in our business recently and literally show you what we did to fix it. But if your show rate's 30%, you go to 40%, that's a 10% increase. That's a third of 30%, right? So you actually increased your throughput by 33%. Not 10%. Same as if your conversion's 10% and your sales team starts closing at 20%, that's a 100% increase because you went from 10 plus another 10, so you double the number of sales you do. So this is really important. So if you have a show rate that is not great, this checklist is gonna be for you. I'm gonna run through it right now. First, before we get into it, what is a good show rate? Like, especially if you're selling services online, like you're running ads, they're booking into a calendar, what should be an ideal show rate? And look, I've been doing Facebook ads to an inbound sales call since 2013. This is when I ran my first ad for my first company and took sales calls. Almost every industry, it has always ranged between 50 and 90%. And I know it's a huge gap because there's a lot of different things you can do to have a good show rate. But if you're seeing 60, 70% show up rate, that to me is a good KPI. If you're at 70%, look at this checklist because it can still make you better. If you're under that KPI, then definitely look at this checklist because it's gonna help you out. So let's look at the first one. Availability is the first one. What do I mean by availability? What we do is we make sure I've got, let's see, right now on our team, we have 6 closers and 4 SDRs. So there's 10 people on the team. I like us to run at 80% utilization. So if I know my team can take 26 calls per day, then I'm running enough ads to book in 80% of 26 calls a day, which let's just call it 20 calls a day. So getting 20 calls a day, because I'm not maxing out the calendar, because if I max out as the day goes on, less slots are available, then my show up rate's gonna go down because people are picking slots that is not their ideal time. So you wanna have a lot of available times, right? So depending on your advertising and what your budget is on a daily basis, you just wanna make sure there's a lot of slots available, right? You wanna make sure there's 10, 15, 20 slots per day available. And sometimes that even means decreasing the increments that people can book. Like instead of booking on the hour, they can book on the 30-minute. If they book on the 30-minute, they can book on the 15-minute. In my opinion, different things come into play with that. Like if you have a 45-minute call and you allow people to book in on the 30, then you're gonna have dead zones because obviously if someone books at 4 and then someone else books at 5:30, like you have 45 minutes of dead zone that couldn't have been booked. And so availability is huge. You wanna have a lot of availability. And I would recommend, at least what we do, is we run at 80% utilization. Next is you don't let people book more than 2 to 3 days out. I just noticed as we started to book people 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, 7 days, the show rate just tanks hardcore. When you have setters who are booking calls, or if you have people who are self-directed and self-booking, don't let them book more than 2 to 3 days out. People forget stuff, they get busy. We want this top of mind. And people know their schedule better tomorrow or 2 days. People don't know their schedules very well a week out, right? And things come up and then they'll put those things ahead of your sales call. So 2 to 3 days out is best. Right. Okay. The next is confirm within 5 minutes. You can automate this with your CRMs, but you want to make sure it's personalized, which means it's a personal email, personal text that comes directly from the salesperson who the booking is with. So we make sure there's a 5-minute rule. So when someone books into the calendar, we confirm with the person who booked, hey, saw you just booked to my calendar, excited to chat, XYZ, whatever. Sometimes we'll post one link in there that sends them a testimonial, or one link that sends them another like product awareness type of marketing material. So it gives them like a little bit of homework to do to get them in movement, but we want to confirm within 5 minutes. If you're not confirming appointments, because robots and automations and stuff these days, people book and they think, they'll forget about it, I just won't go. Versus when you have someone who confirms with you and it's, hey, I saw you booked in my calendar. I set some time aside. I'm looking forward to look at your business, see if we can possibly help. There's some reciprocity now where you're like, man, if I bail on you, I'm bailing on a real person. And people don't want to do that. So confirming within 5 minutes. The next one would be reminders. Now, what mistake I made at one point when I was doing fitness is I was like, oh, the more reminders, the better. And so I was setting up like 7, 8, 9 reminders. So it's like an email, text confirmation, right, like an auto confirmation on a personalized one, right when they book. Then my email and text that is my personalized confirmation. And then I would do a text email 2 days out. And then I would do a text email 24 hours out. And then I do a text email 4 hours out. And then I do a text email 1 hour out, and then 5 minutes. So it actually became so much that people were starting to get pissed that we were contacting them so much, and it felt too needy. So what I would recommend doing now, and this is what we do, is we limit it to 4. So we do a personalized confirmation email, and then we do a 1 hour reminder, and then a 5-minute text reminder. That's it. So it's like auto reminders. We do basically 2 or 3 on top of the email, text, manual confirmation that we do for the lead when they book in. All right. Next step video. So what is a next step video? So basically when someone books into the calendar, there's a redirect. We send people to a page that has a video that tells them, here's what to expect. Here's the next steps. So that way it's very clear. And what we can do is we can set some different frames in that video that sort of propel the prospect to want to come to this appointment, right? So we're reminding them of the problem we're going to solve, not just in buying anything. And we're very careful about not having sales language, because people don't want to come to sales calls. They want to come to problem solving calls, right? And so we frame everything around, this is the problem we're going to solve, even in just chatting. Whether we can help or not, that doesn't matter yet. We want to solve this problem by chatting. And then also like setting up frames where it's like, hey, like we only can work with a such and such type of person because that shows us that they can be punctual. They can be disciplined. If you can't make this appointment for any reason, go ahead and cancel it right now. So just, you can set different frames that allow people to come. So this seems like a pretty comprehensive list, right? And this is what I've done for years. Let me tell you basically what happened in our business. We were doing all these things, and all of a sudden we went from like a 75% show rate to a 60%, and then to 50%, and then to 30%. And I was like, frick, what are we doing wrong? Like, we're doing all these things. I don't understand. The mistake that was made is this, and this is very important. Lead quality. What do I mean by lead quality? Because this sounds like such an obvious freaking answer. And Taylor, how did you miss this after doing business for, 10, 11, 12 years? It's funny. So we run all of our traffic with paid ads. We use a tracking software to know exactly which ads are delivering sales. And for whatever reason, we had over-indexed on some new test ads that were getting great cost per leads, great call costs. But we were realizing that the show, because you've got your cost per call booked, but then you've got your cost per call showed. Our cost per call showed had gone up dramatically, but our media buyer was indexed on like the wrong KPI, and so what we realized, hold on, which ads were actually driving the sales? And then it sounds so simple, but like once we went back to, oh, wait a minute, this ad creative, even though it gets a cheaper lead and a cheaper call, they're not showing why. And after investigating the copy of the ad, we realized that we were getting more broke, like underqualified people. And so the broke, unqualified people weren't even coming to the calls. And so we went back to the old ad creative even though it was a more expensive lead and a more expensive call, the cost per showed call was lower. And so you guys, what I would recommend, like my learning point here is the biggest indicator for show rate is actually the lead quality itself. Does this person actually identify with the problem that you solve? Do they get, like they understand the vehicle that you guys utilize? And are they warm in a sense, like to your brand? Like there's a little bit more of an inherent trust and awareness of your brand. And so we literally just changed the ad creative back to an original ad creative, and the show rate went from 30% back to 65%. Hopefully this video was helpful. It's a show rate list. Again, you guys can put this into your business, or if you're a sales rep, you can put this into your process to make sure you're partnering with the marketing team, making sure that all of this is happening so you have a strong show rate. But then just make sure you're asking, what is the quality of the lead? Because you can do all of those things, and if you don't have the right lead coming through, they're not going to show anyways. This is Taylor. If you want more sales business videos, you can check out some of my other videos somewhere around here. All right, see ya.